Stranded in the jungle, the story of 4 children who managed to survive in the Amazon for 40 days after a plane crash. And as temperatures climb up to the triple digits this week, we've got some important tips on how you can stay safe in the intense summer heat.
First warning weather with meteorologist Nick Bannon.
But we're going to start with weather today. We have a severe thunderstorm watch for 2 counties north of Austin, both Milam and Lampasas counties until 10 o'clock tonight. We really anticipate that most of the storms stay well north of our area, but a couple very stray isolated storms could clip portions of our northern counties. Stray shower in San Saba County. We've got a storm just northeast of Lampasas County right now, but you can see a much bigger cluster of even severe weather near and north and northeast of Waco right now, and we do expect that the majority of storms will miss us here tonight. That being said, there is still some risk for an isolated strong or severe storm really anywhere here in central Texas, but you can see the 3 out of 5 risk begins mostly once you get into Milam County and points north. So in general, you can plan on it being mainly a hot and dry night for most of us. Temperatures outside right now, middle and upper 90s, but with the humidity, it feels like triple digits in many places in our eastern counties, and it feels like close to triple digits for the metro and into the hill country. So what does the evening look like for most of you? Well, it's only a 20% storm or rain chance here at 7 and 9 o'clock tonight, meaning 80% of us staying dry, if not more. Temperatures dropping through the 90s into the 80s. Those rain chances down to 10% here by 11. Coming up in first warning weather, we'll track a few more storms possible through Monday, the potential for record heat building in, and whether we have any heat relief in sight.
Nick, thanks for tracking it for us, and thanks to you all for joining us tonight. I'm Avery Travis. We're learning tonight a multi-car crash sent 3 people to the hospital today. It happened near FM 812, that's just south of the airport. 2 Austin Travis County EMS ambulances and Starflight responded to this crash. Officials say 1 person was pinned inside a vehicle, but first responders were able to get them out. They were rushed to the hospital with serious injuries. Well, it's that time of year. We all want to spend time by the water, but in San Marcos today, a group of canoe racers are taking that to the next level. The Texas Water Safari kicked off this morning. It's a 260-mile race that will end on the Texas coast. Racers have 100 hours to complete the challenge, and it's been pulling in racers from all over since the 60s. KXAN caught up with one local team who call themselves the Splash Cats. They're hoping to complete the race in under 50 hours.
The beauty of this race is you have both the competitors, but then you also have the adventurers. And this race, you can make it your own.
Just reminds you, like, there's so much and more in life than all these stressors we put on to, you know. And just like being in the boat with like some of my best friends is also a perk of it.
The Splash Cats tell us they've got plenty of food and water packed, but here's the kicker. They don't plan on sleeping until they finish the race. 4 Colombian children who were missing in the Amazon jungle for 40 days after a small plane crash have been found alive. The crash happened on May 1st when a single-engine propeller plane carrying 6 passengers had to make an emergency landing. 2 weeks later, a search team found the plane and recovered the bodies of 3 adults on board, including these children's mother. Meanwhile, the search continued for these kids. They range in age from 11 months to 13 years old. The children were eventually located by rescue dogs in the jungle there. They've been taken to a military hospital to receive treatment. Right now, the extent of their injuries is unknown. Ted Kaczynski, also known as the Unabomber, was found dead in his prison cell today, according to the Bureau of Prisons. He was 81 years old. Kaczynski was convicted in 1998 for a series of bombings targeting scientists. Dana Griffin has more.
The man known as the Unabomber died while serving 4 consecutive life sentences, decades after his reign of terror gripped the nation. Ted Kaczynski, the one-time mathematics prodigy, became infamous for eluding authorities. The only clue to his identity? This sketch made after a witness saw him planting a bomb. Kaczynski played a deadly cat-and-mouse game with the FBI in a nationwide bombing campaign that stretched 17 years, becoming one of the Bureau's longest and most expensive investigations ever.
The FBI, the other agencies involved, are working on this with as much diligence as I've ever seen in an investigation.
His first homemade bomb detonated in 1978 at Northwestern University, injuring a security guard. The FBI would dub him a twisted genius for mailing or hand-delivering 15 more bombs over the years. His devices killed 3 and injured nearly 24 more, all while puzzling investigators for leaving behind no traceable evidence. In 1995, the Unabomber Task Force asked newspapers to publish a manifesto Kaczynski mailed them, hoping it would generate new leads. It did, when David Kaczynski recognized the thinking of his brother and reported him to the FBI.
It wouldn't have been right to allow him to hurt anyone else. He had to be stopped in some way, and that was the only way I could think to stop him.
On April 3rd, 1996, investigators arrested Kaczynski at his tiny cabin near Lincoln, Montana. There, they found journals detailing his crimes, just $32.80 to his name, and something else.
Federal agents have turned up a live bomb at the home of the man the government believes is the Unabomber.
Kaczynski's campaign of fear finally over. Ultimately, in 1998, he said he was, pleading guilty and spending the rest of his life in prison.
Well, the major step taken today as the state fights to keep a beloved Texas park open to the public. And as Central Texas starts to crank up the summer heat, can the power grid keep up with that demand? A look at what ERCOT is expecting coming up. The latest in the fight to keep Fairfield Lake State Park open to the public. Today, Texas Parks and Wildlife voted to use eminent domain in a last-ditch effort to try and save it. The park sits about 70 miles east of Waco, and for decades, the state leased the land from a private company, but that lease is up on Tuesday. Earlier this year, we told you about how a developer purchased the nearly 5,000-acre property with plans to turn it into a gated community of luxury homes. In a special meeting today, the Parks and Wildlife Commission voted in favor of condemning the land. That's the first major step towards trying to take over the property. We dug into the next steps, though, on the condemnation and eminent domain process. First, the state has to make an offer equal to or greater than the land's appraised value. The landowner then has 14 days to consider those offers. If they don't accept, the Texas Attorney General can petition to condemn the land. Then 3 special commissioners will be appointed to hear evidence and decide the current fair market value of the property. If either party objects at this point to the commissioner's findings, the case could move to a civil trial, which could then be appealed. After all avenues of an appeal are exhausted, experts say the state would pay the landowner the value decided by the court and take land ownership.
Well, some decent rain to begin your day early this morning in portions of Travis and Hays counties especially, where some areas in this bullseye here picked up almost 1.5 inches of rainfall. Although there's not much out there right now. We officially at Camp Mabry got just less than 1/4 inch of rain, but we're still behind for the month and for the year to date, and no changes in our lake levels. Your high today, 98. Could be the last day outside of the triple digits for a while. We'll track the heat and the isolated storm chances in first warning weather.
Friday marked the first 100-degree day, but unfortunately for us, it's just the start of a hot week. Energy and utility experts predict record demand as Texans try to keep cool. Doug Lewin with the Stoic Energy and the Texas Energy and Power newsletter says ERCOT will see an all-time record peak days before the summer season starts. Despite this, Lewin says the state should have enough power to keep up with this demand.
We have a lot more solar on the system. Thermal outages like gas and coal and nuclear plants, there is a little higher than it should be, but nothing too alarming. Looks like a good week for wind as well. So you put all those things together, and I don't anticipate any problems. I hope by saying that I don't jinx it.
We do hope so too. Lewin says we didn't see last year's peak usage record until July 20th. But with our weather team tracking temperatures in the triple digits throughout the whole week, you'll definitely want to take some precautions when spending time outdoors. We also want to remind you to look out for your pets. We've got some reminders for you staying safe in this summer heat. First, obviously stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water throughout the day and make sure your pets have enough water, especially if they're headed outside. Look before you lock. Helpful reminder, the city says you should always check the back seat of your car for children and pets before you lock it up. Try to wear some loose-fitting clothes this week, and don't forget the sunscreen throughout your entire time outside. We've got a whole list of tips and tricks for staying safe, especially for pets and kids. Just click on this story right now at KXAN.com.
First warning weather with meteorologist Nick Bannon.
And after hitting triple digits yesterday for the first time this year, we cooled off, quote unquote, for today with a high of just 98. And that is in fact where we are right now in Marble Falls at the Highland Furniture and River City Grill camera with a picture perfect blue sky from that view. We are still watching storms, some of them severe, to the north of us. There are none that are particularly concerning for us just yet. But there is the chance, called a 10 to 20% chance of some storms, potentially severe ones as we head into the evening. I'd be the most concerned in places like San Saba, Lampasas, and Milam counties here tonight, because I think those counties that sort of stick out as far as the KXAN viewing area goes may just get clipped by a strong or severe storm later on tonight. This particular computer model here, which I think is doing a good job in the placement of most of the storms, does bring in a storm risk into Milam County, especially as we get later into the evening, call it 8, 9 o'clock or so. And that could carry some large hail and damaging winds. But for the vast majority of us, your evening is a dry one and a very warm one. Low clouds and some areas of fog build in to begin your Sunday morning. So it may start a little cloudier than it did today, but then the sun is out by mid to late morning at the latest. And then we've got a very sunny afternoon for you. Now, while we'll keep a generally dry forecast here tomorrow, and you can see 7 in the evening, some storms to the north of us, there is a low, call it 10% chance of a storm or shower late afternoon or tomorrow evening, primarily the farther north you are. In general, tomorrow, much like today, those storms staying north of us, and then low clouds build in as we get into your Monday morning before the sun is back out, and we once again have another low 10% rain chance. Of course, the heat's the story that affects us all, not the storms. 90s are where most of the state is right now. We expect while we start in the 70s tomorrow, we're already in the mid 80s by 10 and then well into the upper 90s, if not low 100s here for tomorrow afternoon. And tomorrow should begin the streak of triple digit days that we think lasts at least 7 days. 2 100s in a row. Then we go 101 for Tuesday, 103 Wednesday. Heat peaking around Thursday and Friday before a very slight drop off into next weekend. And the humidity's not really changing much between humid and very humid every single day. So just a 20% storm chance, mainly way to the north tonight. 75 for your overnight low. Our day tomorrow, 10% rain chance. Otherwise, it's hot. Clouds giving way to sunshine and a high of 100. And as we look at that first warning weather 7-day forecast, rain chances hard to come by, but heat is aplenty with record heat possible Thursday and Friday.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
There was a time when the College World Series seemed like an extremely lofty goal for Texas baseball. However, they woke up today just 2 wins away from a trip to Omaha as they took the field in the Super Regional round for the 3rd year in a row. Eric Kennedy just hit a 2-run shot in the top of the 5th to tie the game up at 2. And they've got a man on base right now. So Texas trying to win this game. This is the best out of 3. Game 2 will be tomorrow. Time to be determined. All right, MLS Austin FC back on the road. It'll be their last match for 11 days. So they're definitely hoping to head into their mini break riding high with a win and 3 points in the standings. Is another prime opportunity for the Verde and Black, one which they hope to make good on.
It's a long season, and we've started this process early in January, and we've had to face a lot of adversity, as a lot of teams have. We power through it. We get going. There's 18 more games to go. I think all teams face certain things, whether it's injuries, whether it's poor form, coaches' decisions, players' performance. There's lots of things that go into it, but the reality is we're going to be in a very competitive Western Conference. We got to continue to get better and improve. Game by game, we obviously have to deal with what's in front of us, what players are available. How we expect to exploit the next opponent. But again, having some consistency in our roster, I think, goes a long way. Having healthy players goes a long way. But it's still about getting out there and performing and showing a level of consistency going forward. But we look forward to the second half of the season for sure.
They'll be facing a Kansas City team who is near the bottom of the West standings. However, Sporting KC has been playing better of late. They've earned a result in 3 straight matches. 2 of them were wins. 7:30 kickoff. MLB Rangers have touched home plate a whole lot this year, and today they continued that tradition against Tampa Bay. When sports continues, after this, we have more. The Rangers' high-powered offense has propelled them to the top of the top-heavy AL West, and the bats were big once again this afternoon in Tampa. Corey Seager had the biggest bat of them all today. Starting off in the top of the second with the bases loaded, Rangers up 1-0. Seager hits this one into the right field corner. That rolls to the wall. That's a 2-run double. They sent Marcus Semien trying to make it 3. He got too greedy. He got thrown out at third. Still the damage was done after that. 4-0 Rangers at the top of the fourth. Seager again, first pitch. That's gone. That makes it 6-0 Rangers. And then it wasn't just Seager who was hot at the plate. Adolis Garcia with the bases loaded in the sixth hits this one to left field, and that scores 2 runs to make it 8-4 Rangers. They win by that final score over the Tampa Bay Rays. The Astros continuing their series in the beautiful of Cleveland. That was for Noah. Astros up 5-1 right now in the 4th inning. Finally, French Open, women's final, and it came down to defending French Open champion Iga Swiatek and Karolina Muchova. Swiatek with a nice backhanded return right there. Nicely done. Then Muchova sends it right into the net on match point. Not Swiatek's problem. She wins the French Open for the 2nd year in a row. 4th Grand Slam title. Youngest 4-time women's champion since Serena Williams did it 21 years ago. The men's final will be Novak Djokovic and Casper Ruud tomorrow. And I got to say real quick before we run out of time, I want to say a special shout out to Kevin Brooks and Angelo State Baseball. I covered them when I was in San Angelo. They won the national championship today. First time in program history. So congratulations, Kevin.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
A shout out across the state. Okay, hot on the field, hot on the court, and I think we're all hot.
Yes, and we think tomorrow begins a long streak of triple-digit days. This is what your Sunday looks like. Some low clouds and fog in the morning. That quickly lifts away to a lot of sunshine, a few puffy clouds in the afternoon. Just a low 10% rain chance later in the day. A very isolated storm possible in northern areas. Otherwise, look at that. Triple digits tomorrow, and I think tomorrow may be the coolest day of the next 7.
So enjoy it is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
all
please.
right. Thanks for joining us. Come right back here to KXAN News at 10. In the meantime, catch up with us online at KXAN.com.